Does Ben Johnson want to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears? A fascinating quote from an NFL insider that we're going to dive into here on today's show. Could this happen? We'll have to wait and see. If you want Ben Johnson in Chicago, hit that subscribe button. I would like to have Ben Johnson. I think most of you would as well. And if you just want daily and free Bears content, subscribe and turn on notifications. Is Ben Johnson interested in coming to Chicago? That's what we're going to discuss here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Albert Breer, who's pretty tapped in and has done a lot of reporting on the Bears since Ryan Poles has been the GM, kind of feels like he's his source over the years with some of these stories. Not necessarily this one, but he went on ESPN 1000 as he does every single Tuesday, and basically said that from what he was hearing last year when Ben Johnson was a head coaching candidate, ultimately went back to Detroit, that the Bears job was one he was interested in. Here was the quote. He was definitely connected to the Chicago job last year. There were some people that thought that was the one he wanted. Obviously, it didn't come open. Talking about the job not opening up because they kept Matt Eberflus. I got to be honest, it's pretty tough to shake if it's true. Like, if the Bears caught wind that Ben Johnson would have taken this job last year and you didn't go that route, to me that's pretty disappointing because what did I talk about on this show a bunch last year? You're resetting at quarterback. It probably makes sense to reset at head coach, ideally with an offensive guy to help groom that quarterback. Instead, they brought Flus back, and the results have been mixed so far, but in the end, the overall resume is underwhelming, especially in games that matter. In games that matter, it's not underwhelming. It's disastrous. I mean, he has virtually zero significant wins in his head coaching career. He beat Detroit last year, which was a nice win, but he choked the other Lions game, and he's lost 4 games in which he had a 91% chance of winning or better in the fourth quarter in the last year and a half. It's not good enough. Just not good enough. And look, we don't know full context. This isn't Breer saying straight up, yeah, Ben Johnson would have taken the job if it was offered. He's saying, yeah, there was chatter. I was hearing that from multiple people that he was interested in the Bears job. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe he still would have gone back to Detroit. But not pairing him with Caleb Williams, if there was an opportunity to do so, I think is a massive error in judgment, especially if it's just to give Matt Eberflus another year. It's not fair to fire Flus after 2 years if they showed progress in year 2. Sometimes life isn't fair. It wasn't necessarily fair that the Bears moved on from Justin Fields, considering everything he had to deal with, especially his first 2 years. But Caleb Williams was a better option, and I think that's played out so far. Ben Johnson, to me, even though there's always risk, there's always unknown, would be a better option than Matt Eberflus, clearly, in my opinion. I want to ask you guys this. Did Chicago screw up by bringing back Matt Eberflus this year? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think it was a mistake. I'm not going to call it a colossal error. It's not like the Bears suck right now, but I do think if Ben Johnson, which, again, coordinator to head coach is always an unknown, I do think there's a real shot you're 5-2 or 6-1 if he was the head coach right now. The good news is maybe that pipe dream is not lost because I was convinced, because one of the first thoughts I had when Matt Eberflus was announced he was coming back was, well, you just missed the Ben Johnson boat because he's going to get a different job. Well, he didn't. He went back to Washington. Now, I think he would have probably, or he went back to Detroit. I think he would have gotten the Washington job if he wanted it. They were flying to interview him for a second time, but he ended up deciding to pull his name out of consideration there. I think it's pretty clear he will be a top candidate again in this cycle, along with probably Mike Vrabel. Those will probably be the top 2. We'll see where Belichick fits into all that and other candidates as well. I've watched the guy for 3 years be a major part of revolutionizing a franchise that has never done anything. I mean, just this year, their offense is awesome, and it's been awesome for 3 years now. And I get it. They have a lot of talent. Bears have a lot of talent, too. The big difference, I would say, is the Lions have a significantly better offensive line, and that obviously matters. But just watch a Detroit game. Watch how smooth the operation is. Watch how easy it is that they scheme guys open, and Jared Goff's able to hit them. And obviously, Goff, the way he's playing, he deserves a lot of credit as well. But Jared Goff, for about a year and a half, as he was, finishing his time in L.A. and starting his time in Detroit, was kind of an average, below average player, and then all of a sudden he gets this Ben Johnson guy with him, and not only has he resurrected his career, he's better than ever. He was not playing at this level with the Rams. He was good with the Rams. They went to a Super Bowl, obviously, but he's never been better than he has been playing under Ben Johnson. Imagine Caleb Williams, who has more raw talent than Jared Goff. Doesn't mean he'll be as good as Jared Goff or better, but he has more raw talent, better arm strength, way more mobility, etc., than Jared Goff. Imagine him getting a chance to develop under Ben Johnson. That's what this is all about. Do you have the right head coach for this number one pick at quarterback that you have? I would say at best that's a question mark right now. At best. And quite frankly, the answer is probably no. Now, they're probably going to let the season play out, see if things can change. But unless I'm blown away down the stretch, if you think you got a real shot at Ben Johnson, that's a chance you have to take, in my opinion. We'll continue to talk about this coming up, but I do want to tell you guys first about our sponsor, GameTime. If you want to go watch a Bears game, Bulls game, Blackhawks, any other sporting event, regardless of where you live, if you need to order tickets digitally, that's the world we live in, GameTime is the best place to do it. A lot of sports going on right now, and there's nothing better than being live at stadiums for these big-time events, college football, NFL, and a whole lot more. I've used GameTime to get tickets on numerous occasions, and they've taken care of me. They'll take care of you. Their feature, GameTime Picks, makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams easier. It'll cut down your searching time when you're trying to find the right tickets. It'll kind of pinpoint spots within the venue of different price points, and you can figure out whatever's in your budget where the quality of level seat you can get. Just saves you a lot of time. Whether you're getting tickets for a sporting event, a concert, or comedy show, or anything else, GameTime has you covered with views from the seats, super deals, which are the best bang for your buck. Get some discounts sometimes there, and those last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. Literally, day of event, hours before, you can get those tickets in plenty of time. Download GameTime right now. Use code ChatSports for $20 off. That's code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase only. All one word, ChatSports. Terms apply. Download GameTime today. What time is it? It's game time. Here's the reality. You got to maximize Caleb Williams' rookie contract. When you draft a quarterback in the top 3, top 5, the whole point is to maximize it. That includes coaching. That includes roster. I think the roster's in pretty good shape. Now, clearly, there's still ways to go. You got to get better on the offensive line. You may have to add a defensive lineman, but this should be a team that can at least make the playoffs this year. And you could make a strong argument that the coaching has directly led to 2 losses. The goal line gaffe against Detroit, running that awful speed option in a game you lost by 5, that was problematic. And Jonathan Taylor ran all over you when you were facing a quarterback in Anthony Richardson who couldn't complete a pass. So those were coaching failures. And then clearly in Washington, we don't have to beat a dead horse, but 4 or 5 just critical coaching mistakes. I think if you can go get Ben Johnson, you do it. Looks natural, doesn't it? Ben Johnson, this could be the guy. And yeah, maybe he won't be good as a head coach. But everyone that keeps telling me, we don't know what he'll be as a head coach, he's an unknown. Don't we kind of know what Matt Eberflus is? He's not good enough to not take some level of chance with a new coach. It'd be one thing if you're winning 10 games consistently, getting into the playoffs. Dallas is a good example. They won 12 games in a row, or 3 years in a row with Mike McCarthy, and they lose early in the playoffs. It's one thing to be well, at least you're in the mix every year. Year 1, pass for Flus. That was a complete teardown. Year 2, you lost multiple catastrophic fourth-quarter games. Otherwise, you would have been a playoff team. This year, we'll see how it plays out. You're 4-3, but your strength of victory is the lowest in the NFL because the teams you have beaten might be the 4 worst teams in the NFL, and the schedule's going to get a lot harder, and 2 of the 3 losses you have are directly related to coaching. So, is keeping a C-plus coach, better than taking somewhat of a chance? And by the way, at minimum, don't we think the offense is at least going to be a lot better? And by the way, the history of the Bears tells us the defense is going to be good, more likely than not. So, to me, this is not some major risk because you don't have a coach who is even a top 20 head coach in the NFL. Has he gotten a little better? Yeah. Is he even in the good category? No, I'd say he's average at best. I'm not keeping average when I have a chance to strike gold. And I don't think you'll ever strike gold with Matt Eberflus. It's like playing the stock market. You want to kind of just slightly get more money over time, or do you want to take a swing, and even if it misses, you're probably not worse than you are now, right? That's kind of how I look at it. So how badly do you want Ben Johnson? I want him pretty damn bad. Like, it kind of pisses me off knowing that you might have had a good shot at him last year had you made that move off of Matt Eberflus. Scale of 0 to 10, I'm at a 10. Like, if you told me right now, Harrison, you have to lose the rest of your games this year, but it's a 100% chance to get Ben Johnson, it would freaking suck for the next 10 weeks, but I'd probably do it because I think Ben Johnson has a chance to be that good and be the next McVay, be the next Shanahan, be one of these guys that you pair with your quarterback and you have for the next 12 years. Like, that's what you want. That's how you win in today's NFL. Now, there is one big question. Will the McCaskey family pay big money in to bring Ben Johnson? Now, I don't know if this is true, but there was a report in December last year when his name was circulating that he wanted $15 million per year for a head coaching job. Now, I think there's context. One, we know Carolina was pushing hard for him. Maybe he wanted that type of money to take that job because he knows Carolina is a dumpster fire. So maybe he was like, all right, man, Tepper, you want me that bad? You're going to have to overpay. I don't know what he wants. Here's what I know. If you want to win big, you got to pay up for a coach. You got to pay up for a head coach. Look at the Chargers. They were accused of being cheap forever. They gave Jim Harbaugh $15-16 million per year. Why? Because they know what he brings to the table. Sure, Ben Johnson doesn't have the head coach resume of Jim Harbaugh, but like $12 million for Ben Johnson, you have the money. It's not my money. It doesn't impact your salary cap. You're willing to eat like $7-8 million to trade Nate Davis right now if someone will take him. You can't give Ben Johnson $13 million per year? Like, how serious of a team do you want to be? This is Chicago. This isn't Jacksonville. This isn't Cincinnati. Like, be a big boy franchise. Like, that's like Matt Eberflus? Matt Eberflus. You know who hires Matt Eberflus? Like, the Bengals 12 years ago. The Titans. Like, Brian Callahan? No. Go get Ben Johnson and let's play some fucking ball. Like, that's how I look at this whole thing. So, that's what I would do. We'll see. I'm not punting on this season. Like, I hope they make the playoffs and make a run. But, man, if that guy's out there, I don't see how you could just scoff at that. Like, that's a guy I want. Will the Bears, or who will be the Bears head coach next year? Do you think it'll still be Flus? Do you think it'll be Ben Johnson? Do you think it'll be someone else? I have no idea. If they make the playoffs, they'll probably run it back with Flus. If they don't, I don't see how you could run it back for a fourth year. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We will be back later today with more Bears discussion back at the practice field, closed practice, so we'll see how much information we get from Hallis Hall today. We will bring all of that to you. Until then, bear down.